What's going on? Forgot about the countdown on that one. That's all right. What's going on? What's going on? It's been a while. Rusty, a little bit rusty. Welcome back to Off the Schneid. The season is over. I hope everybody did well in the best ball streets. My season was honestly, actually, probably my worst season so far in my best ball career. Pretty depressing. Pretty depressing. I had a really good shot at getting a Best Ball Mania team through. I was winning going into Sunday Night Football, and then my two best running backs still to play, Trevion Henderson being one of them, and then JT being the other. And I didn't get in. It is what it is. Really depressing season for me. And I'll dissect it later on. That's not what this show is going to be about. But I actually feel like I got a lot of things right. But best ball's hard. So this show is for playoff best ball drafting. One of my favorite tournament structures, my favorite contests to draft. So we're going to dig into it. I always like to do this first episode of the best ball, the playoff best ball drafting season as like a beginner's guide and a how-to, what to do, what not to do, the simple rules of playoff best ball, right? They're very, very simple rules, which we'll get into. Teams that I like, games that I like, basically teams that I want to target playing against in the wild card round. And then, how to strategize with the number one seeds, especially because we don't know who the number one seeds are going to be quite yet. So let's start with that. Let's start with what we know or what we think we know, and then kind of dig through it. So if you have questions or anything like that, fire it in the chat. Hit that like button if you're just popping in, and we'll get into it. So we'll start on the AFC here. Everything's clinched except for the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. They play on Saturday. Whoever wins the AFC North, and they're in. They get a home game. They're the fourth seed. I find it wild that the Steelers didn't beat the Browns even on the road. If you can't win that game, I don't know. You're in tough. The big issue for the Ravens is going to be if Lamar Jackson's playing. Obviously, if he's playing, I like them to win. Even if he's not, like realistically, we just saw Derrick Henry put this team on his back and carry them to a win. So we can definitely see that again on Saturday. We will see. Let's start from the top, though. That's the only thing left to be kind of decided as far as the teams that are in the playoffs, right? In the AFC. So starting at the top, we got the Denver Broncos leading the way right now. They play the Chargers, who we already know are going to sit not only Justin Herbert, well, we know Justin Herbert, but if you're going to sit Justin Herbert, then you might as well sit, Hampton. That's pretty much it, realistically, that I would feel like I really want to sit. Maybe some of the guys on the defensive side of the ball. But either way, a Trey Lance-led Chargers team versus the Broncos. I believe the game is in Denver as well. The Broncos want to win this game, no question. They absolutely want to win this game and get the first round bye. Also home field advantage, obviously, but the first round bye is the biggest thing. To get a break like that, to get a bye week, right before the playoffs start, kind of a thing. That's what really is the big draw for them. So I think the Broncos get that win. I do think that the Broncos are going to be the number one seed. I've been drafting the Broncos as if they're the number one seed. So there you go. The Patriots definitely still have a route to getting the number one seed. They have to, obviously they're tied. So the Broncos have the tiebreaker. So they have to win. The Broncos have to lose. Then the Patriots are the number one seed. That's pretty much the only way around that one. The Jags actually still have a route as well. Both teams, I believe, have to lose. I think I have it over here in one of these ones. I read it. It doesn't even matter. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not drafting as if it's going to happen, but the Jags still technically have a route to the number one seed. So the way I'm drafting this is kind of Broncos number one seed, Patriots 2 or 3, Jags 2 or 3. I don't think it's a huge advantage. You do want to avoid the Bills, but if the Bills win and the Chargers lose, the Bills move up to 6, right? And then 6 plays 3, so you want to avoid beating 3, but maybe it stays like that. Not likely, because I definitely think, let's say the Bills lose as well, right? If the Bills lose as well, then it stays like that. And so it's kind of tough you're never going to try to lose a game, obviously, right? But do you want to rest some starters? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. There's been some ideas and some thoughts thrown around about the Patriots sitting Drake May. There's also the Stephon Diggs situation that just popped up with the legal issues that we have no idea if that's going to settle anytime soon. I doubt it. So I wouldn't be too concerned. They already talked about pushing it back to March is something I'd already heard about the Stephon Diggs situation. So I really don't think it'll be decided before the playoffs are over. So I'm not worried about drafting Stephon Diggs personally. Then you got, the Steelers and Ravens. So the coveted matchup there is for the Houston Texans, and the Houston Texans still have a route to winning the division. So they're going to just win that game and want to stay at a minimum in the 5 spot and play, the 4 seed, whether it's the Steelers or the Ravens. Either way, that's a pretty juicy matchup, I think. And I like that for the Texans. So they want to win that game regardless, stay at 5. Maybe if something crazy happens, by that I mean the Titans beat the Jags, pretty unlikely. Then they can still win that division. Pretty unlikely. So either way, it's Steelers or Ravens, most likely for the Texans. We'll see if the Chargers and Bills flip-flop, but I'm not too worried about that realistically. So that's kind of what we know on the AFC side, or what we think we know, and some of the scenarios that are still kind of hanging in the balance and the things that need to be ironed out moving on to the Week 18. Let's move over to the NFC side. So what do we know? It's a coin flip at the top. Whoever wins between the Seahawks and the 49ers, that's the number 1 seed. But there's a little bit more to that. There's a little more nuance to the NFC side, I will say, as far as movement and where, who's going to play where. Again, similar to the AFC side, the coveted spot here, if you're not winning your division, is the 5 spot, right? So there's a lot more movement there on what could happen as far as 1 seed, 5 seed, 6 seed with all of the NFC West teams, the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Rams. So here's the kind of breakdown. If the 49ers win, obviously they get the number 1 seed. Seahawks fall to 5, the Rams are 6, right? Seahawks win and the Rams win, which are both fairly possible scenarios. Seahawks get the number 1 seed. Obviously, Rams jump up over the 49ers because the tiebreaker. So head-to-head, they split. Best 1 loss in division, they'll have the same. And then best 1 loss in common games, and the Rams will have the better. It goes down to the number 3, right? They'll have the better win-loss percentage in common games. So if the Seahawks win and the Rams win, the Rams move up to the 5 spot, which is, again, that's the if you're not winning your division, that's where you want to be. And then the Niners fall down to the 6 seed. Seahawks win, Rams lose. Seahawks, Rams or 49ers at the 5 spot, Rams at the 6. So what I've been thinking, I mean, I know Sean McVay already came out and said he's going to play his starters, allegedly. Number 1, I think it's still early in the week, and that could change. Number 2, we've seen him in previous seasons basically say, fuck that. I don't care. We're in the playoffs. I'm going to sit my guys. We're going to play who we play. Everybody's a good team anyways. We're playing a division winner no matter what, and sit our starters. I don't know if that's going to happen fully. Like he absolutely just sits all of his starters, or they play a series or 2 and then they come out of the game. I think all of those scenarios are kind of on the table when we're talking about Sean McVay and when we're talking about the Rams. So it's an interesting one. We've seen him do it in the past. That's my big thing, is we've seen him do this. We've seen him rest the starters in the past. Carolina Panthers versus the Buccaneers is the last thing. Same thing as the AFC side, last thing to be decided. I liked at one point the Bucs to win this. I don't really know. It's in Tampa Bay, but that might not mean too much right now. The other thing is, if the Bucs win and the Atlanta Falcons beat the Saints, then the Panthers still get in. So the Bucks can win this game and still not make the playoffs. That's all another thing that's on the table. So if you're drafting Buccaneers, which I have completely stopped personally, you might get kind of fucked by the Falcons regardless. The Packers are locked in at the 7th spot. That's kind of comforting. Who are they going to play? It could either be the Bears or the Eagles. The Bears could definitely go out and lose to the Lions, and the Eagles should beat the Commanders. So, who would you want to play if you're the Eagles or Bears for that matter? Do you want to play the Packers, who are reeling, have some injuries, or the Rams or Niners? Right? I think that's a pretty clear choice. Both of these teams, I think you're going to want to win that game and then get to the 2 seed. I think it's honestly could be more likely that we see the Eagles jump the Bears. And then obviously the NFC West, Seahawks, or Niners, either one of those two are in the 1 seed. Eagles, Bears, the toilet bowl here in the 4 seed. And then we'll see where these two line up, the Rams and Niners, and then the Packers are in the 7 seed. That's kind of the way I see it breaking down, but it's hard to draft as such. So let's get into that portion of things. So that's kind of what we know and what we think we know as far as the AFC and NFC sides of the conversation. So I do want to touch on this quickly. This is what I did last year. I did okay, and the Big Mitten 2 is kind of where I hung my hat. I got 5th in the Big Mitten 2. But I only had 3 players, I believe, Saquon, Kelsey, and Worthy in the final. Those are my only 3 players, right? My bet, and this is what I wanted to point out. This is what I wanted to get into. So my bet, and the reason I did well in playoff best ball last year, is I identified the Commanders as a team, under the radar, sleeper team, wild card team, that could potentially go to not only the NFC Championship game, which they did go to, but potentially the Super Bowl. So if this team, if the Commanders had beaten the Eagles and gone to the Super Bowl, I almost certainly would have won this tournament, being one of the only people that had Jane Daniels. So, but even with the 3 players and I finished 5th, that was pretty good. I was actually in 2nd place for a long time in this tournament for 10K until the garbage time Mahomes points popped up. So that's kind of the goal, is to find a wild card team that can go on to the Super Bowl that's also relatively low owned and low drafted for the most part. I know that's tough to do, obviously, and teams are, guys are drafting all sorts of different ways, and chances are you're not the only one, obviously, that's drafting that way, but you got to identify a wild card team. So another thing to throw in here, the number 1 seed on either side, right? NFC or AFC, the number 1 seeds are more than a 50% shot at getting to the Super Bowl, or have a more than a 50% chance at getting to the Super Bowl. Obviously they get the bye. That also makes it tough to draft them. So there's a lot of nuance this year. This year's it's different. It's different than it was last year. I'll say that 100% in a few ways. And we'll get to that when we go to the Underdog site about some differences from last year. The other thing is, we had a lot more certainty last year. We knew who the number 1 seed was in the AFC. It was the Chiefs, right? We knew a couple spots that were locked in or likely to be the matchups, right? This year, we really have no idea. There's also, the Ravens might not be in the playoffs. The Bengals, the Chiefs might not be in the playoffs. The Bucks, the Commanders, right? The Cowboys, Lions, right? Might not be in the playoffs. So a lot of teams that were in there last year are not this year, right? We've also seen the Rams are reeling right now. They've lost 3 of their last 5. They've lost a few games on the road. They lost a home game, right? So there was a point in time where the Rams looked like they were a lock for the number 1 seed. Now they might be all the way down at the 6, and that's where they're at right now. So I think any team can beat any team this year. So it's really wild if you ask me. I don't think there's any surefire, this is the favorite team. Last year, I basically was saying there are only 3 teams in the AFC that can get to the Super Bowl. One of them was the Chiefs, and they did. And then similarly on the other side, the Eagles were one of the few teams that I saw being able to get to the Super Bowl, and they got there as well. So it's wide open in that regard. Let's jump over to Underdog. So why is it so much different this year than in previous seasons as far as playoff best ball drafting? It's the structure of the tournament. So we go over here to playoff best ball. We've got the gauntlet. The mitten 2 just dropped after the mitten filled earlier today. The summit, the big mitten, and the bigger mitten. So let's look at the structures. Last year, almost everything was 2 of 6 in the wild card round. This year, almost everything is 1 of 6. And the gauntlet was 2 of 6 last year, right? Now it's 1 of 6. It was 2 of 6, 1 of 10, 1 of 10, and I think still a 500 seat final. So 1-6, 1-6, 1-5. Huge difference. The mitten 2, the mitten 1, and the mitten 2 are the only ones that I know of so far that are 2 of 6 in the wildcard round. The summit, 1 of 6. The big mitten, 1 of 6. And even the bigger mitten, which might make this tournament tough to fill, if I'm being honest with you, is a 1 of 6 as well. Mind you, it's 100K up top. That's pretty juicy. 18 seat final. I might get 1 or 2 of those in. We'll see. But so that's a huge difference. There's a big difference in in draft strategy if you're advancing a 2 of 6 or a 1 of 6 clip. Huge difference in how you're drafting. So I wanted to show a couple things. Let's just jump into what I'm going to do. I've already drafted a good bunch of tournaments, getting my feet wet with this. The little mitten, the mitten that filled earlier, got 50 of those in. I might get 50 of the mitten too. We'll see. I've drafted 45 gauntlets so far. So let's dig into a couple differences. We'll go to the mitten because I can do both examples, right? Let's just pick random teams, right? Let's go with the last one I drafted earlier today. Let's pop it up. So Josh Allen, Charbonnet, Henry, Monagai, Johnson. Okay, cool. So basically I'm going Buffalo, San Francisco, Buffalo Rams, Buffalo Chicago, Buffalo Seattle. So I don't mind going about it that way. Where's a rescue? Did I do a rescue? So this is here's an example of drafting. I'm probably doing this strategy. So there's perfect examples. This strategy, perfect for a 1 of 6. Josh Allen is playing in the wild card round. I don't need another quarterback, right? I have a bunch of options at running back. Charbonnet could maybe not play, taking some risk with Henry getting in, but this is just an advance rate piece sort of thing, right? That's the only reason I drafted Derrick Henry here. Same thing. Kittle might be the number one seed. Devontae may or may not play. Either way, that's an example of a 1 of 6 type of advance, or 2 of 6. Sorry, 2 of 6, like a mitten advance type team. Then we look at this one, which is a great example for a gauntlet, a 1 of 6 advance type of a team. Why? Because Brock Purdy could be the number 1 seed and not be playing the wild card round. So that's why you bring in Justin Herbert here. McCaffrey might not be playing. So you get a decent backup or another option, right, for the wild card round and a Trevion Henderson. Then obviously we fill it out with our San Francisco. That might be a number 1 seed in Cortland Sutton. So we bring up some options. And realistically, again, perfect example of a 1 of 6 advancing team. So I'm actually playing this like the San Francisco 49ers get the number 1 seed and are not playing in the wild card round. So keep in mind with all of these playoff basketball tournaments, it's 5 players. That's all you have to worry about is 5 players in any given round. So the most important rounds, the wild card round and the Super Bowl, are the 2 most important rounds when we're talking about playoff basketball, right? So in the wild card round, I only have the opportunity, the way I drafted this team, for 5 players to show up in my lineup. And that is Justin Herbert, Trevion Henderson, Kincaid, Johnston, and Brenton Strange. Those are the 5 players that I am planning on having play in the wild card round to get me through. And then obviously my Super Bowl is San Francisco, and then any of New England, Denver, Buffalo, Chargers, Jags, any of them are fine, right? So that's an example of both. I've got a question. Jamie Robbins, what's up, man? Appreciate you coming in. Kincaid, QJ, or Strange with Trev going to be lighting in the ball to get that through? Yeah, probably. I'm drafting this as a team that I'm trying to win the tournament. I'm trying to win the tournament, and this is the mitten too. So 2 teams advance. So I actually I have a better opportunity to get this through in the mitten than I would in the gauntlet, obviously, right? So talking about it on Twitter with someone, I can't remember who it was earlier today. We were talking about it on Twitter, right? So the guys that draft a little bit wild, that take just random ass players, like they're almost certainly going to get that team through, right? Which is that's why I love this tournament, is because there's so many variables. There's so many variables that come in, and so many people that don't know how to draft this tournament. And it actually like is helpful. It's actually a good thing, if I'm being honest, even though I'm here trying to, teach a little bit and clean it up a little bit. You also want those guys in the tournament. So I draft this, and that's why I do so much volume in this in playoff best ball. You have to do volume so you can get through these super teams, right? So there you go. Emo Cowboy, what's up, man? Appreciate you. The Toxic Tower had a finals. I don't want to call it a sweat, but they had a finals team better than I did. So good on you. There you go. I did want to show quickly or maybe we'll just talk through it in a draft. I kind of want to jump in and start drafting. Maybe I'll show my exposures too for all of these. Let's do that. So I went on the Fantasy Football Garage with Chris, the Candyman, a few weeks ago. Before I started drafting, I hadn't drafted a single best ball tournament yet when I made that appearance, but I said on that show, the 49ers will be my highest drafted team for sure. It's pretty close to that being true. Juwan Jennings is my highest drafted player. Now, at that time, I didn't think they're getting the number 1 seed. So here we are. Now they might get the number 1 seed. I have a lot of 49ers kind of super teams that rely on Brock Purdy playing in the wild card round. And he might not. So that might kill a bunch of gauntlet teams, but we'll see. So it's a good mixed bag of everything realistically, which I think is what any portfolio should look like, unless you're really, really convicted on whatever wild card team being able to make the Super Bowl. Like if you are just so convinced that the Buffalo Bills will be in the Super Bowl, then go ham. Just draft nothing but Buffalo Bills, and I'm sure a guy like Liam is doing that, being a bit of a homer for the Bills. But other than that, I think you have to do a bunch of everything to get different, like I said, super teams. And with all the variants that I think exist this year, the playoffs, I think you're kind of doing yourself a disservice if you don't do that. Jamie maxed the mitten, so he's with that. There you go. I'm not maxing quite that, but I want to do a few more gauntlets, and then the bigger mitten. Potentially, I'm gonna mix in a couple of those just to get a good sweat. We got Doc 79. What's up, man? Love playoff best ball. Yeah, I honestly think it's the most kind of, if you want to call it beatable, it's the most beatable. There's a ton of strategy involved with this, but it's really simple. It's really simple strategy. I want to talk about quickly my rules. There are rules to playing playoff best ball and drafting playoff best ball teams. I have 3 rules. I say 3 rules when drafting playoff best ball. The first one, the only thing that matters is your roster construction. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, the only thing that matters is going to be your roster construction. And rule number 3 is roster construction. That's all that matters. That's all that matters is your roster construction. That's it. I don't give a shit who you're drafting, what their names are, what team they play for. I don't give a rat's ass. You just have to have a correct roster construction in order to win this tournament and move on to, the NFC Championship, the Super Bowl, all that kind of stuff. It's the only thing that matters is roster construction. ADP doesn't mean shit. Projections don't mean a goddamn thing. The only thing that matters is constructing your team properly and in a fashion that gives yourself the best chance to move on and win money in this tournament. So Is it gonna happen that way, result that way every time? No, we just saw my Commanders option there. I only had 3 players, but again, it's a different because it's such a small finals that I had 3 players playing and finished 5th. So there you go. If it's the gauntlet and it's a 500 seat final, you have to minimum have 5 players available, right? So let's jump over. Let's do a draft. Let's do a quick. There's the little mitten or the mitten 2. We're going to do a quick mitten 2, 50K up top. That's nice. 2 of 6 advance, right? 2 of 6 advance. Let's keep that in mind because it's very important. So let's jump in. If you want to draft with me, jump in. They're waiting on 3. So then the other thing that I want to touch on quickly with playoff best ball in the wild card round, especially, right? In any round, realistically, but the wild card round is probably the most important for this specific, thing that can come up. And that is if there's a 30, 40 point player or 2 of them, you have to have them. You absolutely have to have them, but we also want that player to be eliminated essentially, right? So perfect example last year is I don't think they won the first round, but Ladd McConkey had like 28 points or something like that in the wild card round. And I believe they lost. So then he was gone. So then everyone else on that team, it depends on everyone else in that team, right? There's not as much kind of like parity. Like if you look at the Best Ball Mania finals, fucking 62% of the finals teams had Puka Nacua, right? So then everybody had Puka Nacua essentially, except for the ultimate winner, right? Sam Sherman, shout out, good on him. That's good for the community. But either way, so we kind of want sort of the opposite. We want that player eliminated in the wild card round. So we're pick number 4. Another thing I want to talk about is having a plan, having a strategy ready to go for each pick position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you want to do and get some reps in? What directions can you go? What quarterbacks can you get? What stacks can you put together? So let's see what we do. We get Puka Nacua and McCaffrey. That's classic. They're ranked 1, 2. James Cook, I've seen go up the board a tiny bit. Let's do. I would have Josh Allen here. But let's do a different kind of option here. Let's do Saquon. Let's do Saquon here. It was between Saquon or JSN. I want to do a specific build here and kind of show the way I would go about it. Jamie likes Saquon as well. It's pretty much impossible to get James Cook and Josh Allen. I have 1 in all of my teams in a mitten. I have 1 of that combo. It's pretty much impossible, but I do want to show just another way that you can go about this, and kind of make it work for you, especially in this 2 of 6 advance structure. So JSN goes 5. I don't think anyone in the chat is in the draft. Maybe they are. I know No Bo Sox is a solid drafter. A lot of red badges in here. I'm not sure if anyone else is in here. Drake May and Henderson, cool. Don't hate that. Josh Allen goes with the JSN drafter. I kind of like that. So I'm going to bring in Kyron here. So I have 2 NFC running backs that are both going to play in the wild card round. So already I like my chances to kind of advance kind of already. Doc on the overflow. Good. I want less good drafters in this sucker. You know what I mean? Don't need the competition. AJ Brown goes with the Cook drafter. Kittle with McCaffrey. I probably take someone other than Kittle there if I'm Triton 13. That's the other thing that I will talk about at the end. I want to dissect this whole draft. We'll talk about this draft at the end, and some kind of tips on things that I like to do, which is why I'm clicking on these other teams here. So, okay. Now we're going to go with RJ Harvey first over ETN. And I'm going to play it like the Broncos are going to be the number 1 seed. Mike Rob, what's up, man? The man, the myth, the legend. I don't know about legend, but the myth maybe is back. We're back. Yeah, we'll rip some of these for about a week or two, and then we'll be off until the big board starts up. And I got a lot of work to do between now and then. So haven't even started watching tape. But last year, I think I started on New Year's Day. I started watching tape, and it'll probably be around that similar timeline for when I start watching some college tape. Dig into that. I don't mind picking ETN here, but I'm not going to. Though I'd kind of like to, if I'm being honest. But it's got to be Cortland Sutton. It's got to be Sutton. Pair him up with Harvey. So I'm basically done. Obviously 3 straight running backs. So I'm basically done at running back here because I have 2 very, very, very solid options that are both going to crack my lineup, right? So let's leave that there. I like taking Devontae Smith there and rolling with my AFC stacks. Don't mind the Broncos move though. So yeah, you'll see how this works out in the end. This is a pretty common strategy that I like to do. Something like this, right? Something along these lines where it makes sense. Josh Allen, Drake May. Interesting. I kind of want to be done at running back, as in like I'm definitely going to be done at running back here. So I was going to bring in Goddard there. That sucks. So let's just take Bo Nix because you never know. I doubt these guys would take Bo Nix anyways, but there's really no one else that I need to click here at all. So if Goddard was there, I'd be taking Goddard for sure. Let's just get our Bo Nix here. Yeah. Yeah, I want to be done at running back, as in I'm going to be done at running back. But I do need a second quarterback here. So let's just take T-Law. I'm just going to take T-Law here. Myers is still on the board, and that's fine. I don't really have any interest in taking Myers. Let's take T-Law. Yeah, let's take T-Law. So I'm done at quarterback. I'm done at running back. I don't see a point in taking another. I've got great options here with T-Law, Barkley, and Kyron. Now I'm just going to fill out my wide receivers. I've got 4 more spots, right? I need 1 more Denver, obviously. And then we'll kind of see what comes to us. I could go with Jacksonville, actually, which if it falls to me, I might do. Pearsall was on my board. So if Pearsall's gone, if Jacoby Myers is still there, then I'm just going to go down that road. Best ball on call. Anthony, what's up, man? Appreciate you popping in. Got second place in PPR Tyler's league. Lost to Steve, I believe, or did you beat Steve? I missed the playoffs barely. I needed Steve to lose in the last week to get me in the playoffs. I'm probably still going to go with Jacksonville here. I think this just actually adds up way too nicely for me. Let's go with Myers. If he's still there, let's take him. That's a nice fall. That's fun. That is fun. This might work out even better kind of than I thought. I didn't expect to get the Jacksonville side of this as well. Anthony won, man. Shout out. There you go. Attaboy. Nice. Nice win. I don't really care about getting Brian Thomas. I have Parker Washington listed ahead of him, but let's go with Troy Franklin here. Let's go with Parker Washington, actually. I think he's more important to this build. So let's go with Parker Washington. So I've got 3 on the Denver side and 3 on the Jacksonville side with Saquon and Kyron. So it's pretty obviously just going to be another Denver and another Jacksonville. And I don't mind this at all. I might If Brian Thomas is there, I'm probably just going to take Brian Thomas. And then play it like if the Jags make it to the Super Bowl, it has to be versus the Eagles or the Rams. I'm probably going to play it that way. Whereas with Denver, it's, Harvey, Sutton, and whoever else I get. Whoever else I get with the Denver side. So that's I kind of like this build. This is unexpected. I didn't expect it to go this way. Let's do Troy Franklin here. Actually, I think he's a little more important than Brian Thomas. Let's do that. So I want to talk about a couple things after this. My guy T Ferg, yeah, I put Terrence Ferguson on the map, but no, I'm not. I am drafting him a little bit, but not on this team. That's for sure. Looks like Brian Thomas is going to fall back to me. That's kind of fun. If not, I'll just take Strange. So obviously, I'm like betting on Denver or Jacksonville making the Super Bowl on the AFC side versus the Eagles or the Rams. And then in the wild card round, I've got Barkley, Kyron Williams versus, and then the full kind of stack on the Jacksonville side, which is kind of fun as well. So I kind of like that. With 2 of 6 advancing, right? That gives me a pretty good opportunity to advance this team when I have 2 really good pieces, on it works if you have like Nakua and I don't know. We'll look at the board. Nakua and Nico Collins, let's say, right? It's similar sort of situation as far as first round wildcard advancing, So hopefully this doesn't disappear. I want to break this down, but honestly, there was too many good drafters in this room where I think everybody makes sense and everything adds up for the most part. But let's go through this here. So Nakua, McCaffrey, Cook, Barkley, and Jigba. Henderson, nothing to write home about there. That all makes sense. Backs it up with Drake May. Allen makes sense. That's fine. Stafford gets that. That's nice. Let's just start at the 1 spot. Jacobs with the Rams side. I don't personally love, but he's obviously playing that as his advanced piece, which I don't mind it. But if it were me, I don't hate it, but if it were me, I don't know. I guess he didn't really have too much of a choice. There. So good pick. Corum brings it in with the Rams. I like that. Then he goes with Baltimore, which is obviously a risk because they could miss the playoffs completely. And then this team is still, it's not dead. He's got the Rams side, right? First sneeze of the stream. 1.5 is usually the over under there, but either way, basically he's got one option for two options for the Super Bowl. He's got Baltimore versus the Rams or the Packers, and then Rams versus Baltimore. There you go. Solid draft. I don't mind that. I think everyone was too good here. Let's see. Nico, Etienne, Purdy, Pearsall, Marks. Yeah, this team's too good as well. Cook, Goddard, Hampton, another Buffalo. Yeah, this team's too good. Cool. There's no bad drafters in this room, so that's kind of unfortunate. There's no examples of taking someone you shouldn't. That's also kind of a good thing. So the one thing I wanted to talk about like a kind of a draft strategy with this is go ahead and dare guys to snipe you. Just go take the guy. If you want to snipe me that bad, like where was the example that I had here? Where was I thinking it? Even at the end of the draft, it wasn't there. Where was it? But even at the end of the draft with like Brian Thomas, I got Brian Thomas in the last round, right? Like go ahead and draft him. I don't care. If you want to snipe me, go nuts. So you can dare, I guess like here would have been a good example right here. With the Bo Nix. That's what it was. So I took Sutton before Bo Nix. Of course I would. ADP calls for it anyways, but let's just pretend like it's different. Let's say it's a falling Hurts, whatever. These guys both drafted Josh Allen and Drake May, right? So me being in the 3 or the 4 spot here, I can push a quarterback around the corner pretty confident that they're not going to draft that quarterback, because why would you? And if you do, then you're just fucking up your team to snipe me and like screw me over, which just makes no sense. You there's no reason for you to be drafting a quarterback there. So yeah, the Trevor Lawrence thing, right? Go ahead and draft Trevor Lawrence, whatever it is. Just go ahead if you really want to. So stuff like that is strategy. Look ahead. Look at which direction they're going. These guys are obviously going with AFC quarterbacks, right? Therefore, their position players, running backs and wide receivers, almost must be, if they're not Buffalo Bills or Patriots, they must be NFC players, right? So if you're playing AFC side, like my Jags and my Broncos, I can push them around the corner pretty confident that they're not going to draft those guys because it doesn't make sense for their build. It also depends on your draft room. Again, all these red badges, all of these teams are well constructed and well drafted. So it's easier to accomplish that when there's less variance. But that's something worth looking at and doing. Just dare guys, go ahead and fuck me over if you want. I can pivot from there. I'm not too concerned about it. And there's too many good teams here to break down. So we'll do another draft and then we'll talk more about it. Losimo in here. I've seen you in a couple draft rooms. Good to see you. Where are we? New Year's Eve plans with the kiddo. Yeah. Sit at home and maybe make it to midnight. That's about it. Nothing planned. AFC is so wide open. It's insane. I think both are. I think both sides are completely wide open. I think it's the most wide open parity type year we've seen in years. Yeah, there you go. NFC looks open too. I agree. Awesome for playoffs, Beth. I absolutely agree with this as well. AFC feels like everyone is lives. I think both sides again. We still think Philly's a heavy favorite because of health. Healthy is you're getting back soon to pack on the best roster still. I mean, we'll see. It depends on who sits. Like the Packers aren't playing anybody, so they should be as healthy as they can be going in. I think the Rams actually end up sitting some players, like I talked about in the pre-show. We'll see if the Patriots play everybody. So there's lots of teams that are going to rest some guys or pull players out early, and we'll see. Too many good drafters in your room. Yeah. Jump on the next one, make it easier. Yeah, we'll get it going. I dig my easy Philly stacks. Yeah. So let's jump into another one here. We're gonna do just another mitten 2, small one, 2 of 6. advance. Let's hopefully get a different kind of structure on this. So 2 spots open. If you want to jump in, get in quick. They fill quick, and we're filled. Did we get anyone? We got Doc 79 in here. Lolsimo's in here. There we go. All right. Pretty Ricky. We're in the 2 spot, so we'll see if we get sniped. I don't know. We're going to do a different strategy, obviously. So that's another thing I was going to say. That's a huge difference from last year's drafting. Last year's drafting, the first 3 picks were all quarterbacks, right? It was Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts. This year, the only quarterback realistically that you pretty much cannot get his number 1 running back is Buffalo with Josh Allen and James Cook. The rest of them, you can put it together, and there's definitely tons of options where those stacks are put together. So have a plan. That's something I always recommend. What do you like to do from the 1 spot, 2 spot, 3 spot, 4 spot, and then mix it up a little bit too. So we'll see what we do here, but it'll be one of the 2, Nakua or McCaffrey is who I'll take here. And since it's a 2 of 6 advance, I'm going to play it like the 49ers win the division and get the number 1 seed. We'll see if Lolsimo picks McCaffrey, we'll take Nakua, either way. So now that we're going to take McCaffrey, I'm going to play this like the 49ers are going to get the number 1 seed. So if I take Purdy, if I go down that road, then I have to take a second quarterback. After the weekend, I think the Allen Cook becomes a bit more common. I disagree because they both play in the wild card weekend and they're both Super Bowl favorites, contenders. So I really don't think so. I really, really don't. I don't think it'll be very common. I'll say that. I think it'll still be just as difficult to get them both together. But we'll see. I could definitely be wrong on that. Because who moves up? Who moves up to the point that it's going to push Cook down, essentially, is what it would be. Who's going to push Cook down? Devontae Adams and Kyron? They would have already if that were the case. ETN? I don't think so. The quarterbacks? Definitely not. Henderson? Nope. Collins? Kittle? Nope. No. If anything, we could see Cook move closer to where McCaffrey's going at the end of this weekend. So we'll see. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I don't think so. I think it'll still be just as difficult to get those 2 paired up. We got Josh Allen, Barkley, Smith and Jigba, the Rams side over here. Devontae and Stafford. I kind of like that. This guy's pushing like he could get a Cook. Omega the Greek. Is that do we follow each other on Twitter? Is that what's his name on Twitter? How about Josh Fall with foot concerns and lack of options? I really do not expect that to happen for Josh Allen to fall. I really don't. We're going to go with let's go with Nico. Let's do Nico first. I'm going to get a little bit different here from a lot of my drafts because I don't know if I've drafted it. I haven't drafted a ton of Nico. I'll say that. I have not. So let's do that. I just don't think because Josh Allen can be, again, that wild card 40-point guy that you absolutely have to have. The other thing I was going to say with the wild card round, right? You need 5 players to be in your lineup. Every year, there are teams that advance with 4, maybe even 3 players playing in the wild card round because they have that 40-point quarterback and the 30-point running back, whatever it is. They just have the big scorers, right? Let's say you have Josh Allen, Ladd McConkey, and Derrick Henry. Let's say you have those 3 players and they all throw up 30 points, which is entirely on the table, right? And then you advance, and then you kind of have a super team. So we're going to do RJ Harvey here? Or are we? Let's go Kittle. Let's go Kittle. There's either Kittle or Harvey there. Pretty close. Pretty close with what we want to do. Yeah, I kind of like that. Let's go Kittle or Harvey. I just don't think Josh Allen falls. I really, really don't. I think it's more likely that that James Cook falls somehow, but I just don't see it. Like the other quarterbacks are just too close. Like Stafford, May, Purdy, Lawrence, Nix, Darnold, right? They're all so close as far as their potential, their ceiling, right? But Josh Allen's ceiling is 40 points, right? With the rushing potential, where like the lack of weapons doesn't particularly matter if he scores 3 rushing touchdowns, right? So you just tack on Shavers, Cooks, Knox, whatever, right? So I personally would be surprised by that. That's because I had McCaffrey. I picked McCaffrey to be a huge riser. That was a big reason why I wanted to, or I talked about it on Candyman show about the 49ers being my most drafted team, was because he was going way lower than he should have, in my opinion. And now here we are. So yeah, because then let's pull up the board again in a second, but we will do Harvey kind of fell there a little bit. Let's just take Jennings here. Let's take Jennings. Let's go about it that way, I guess. Let's pull up the board after this pick, and we'll just take Brock Purdy if Lulsmole doesn't take him, which I don't think it would make much sense for him to. Let's just take Purdy here. So who rises? Barkley could rise ahead of Allen. Yes. Yes, for sure. And then I guess it could open that door a little bit. But you also get the spite drafters that will just take Cook to make sure you don't. Because, like, realistically, if the draft goes Puka Nacua, McCaffrey, JSN, right? 1, 2, 3. If you take Josh Allen at 4, theoretically, there should be a really good opportunity for you to get James Cook with him. Why? Because then you go Saquon Barkley with AJ Brown, who went really late in this draft, right? Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, Stafford, or Devontae Adams, Kyron, right? And that's literally what happened when I got Josh Allen in my one time where I got Josh Allen and James Cook, right? That's literally how it went. So that's very live if Josh Allen ADP wise falls down a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see. Because I don't think, I mean, it would take him falling to 5, like as far as ADP is concerned, not just in your individual draft room, but as far as ADP is concerned, right? So yeah, we'll see. Kyron could move up, but all of the Rams are kind of falling right now. Like, it's pretty easy to get Puka Nacua with Devontae and Stafford, or Puka, Kyron, Stafford. So all the Rams are kind of falling right this second. Let's go Woody. Let's do Woody Marks here. And then it gets a little interesting. Walsimo's going NFC side. Yep, goes Swift. That's good. Let's take Stevenson then. I need another AFC running back that I can kind of get behind. So let's do Ramondre. So yeah, if all the Rams are falling, then how does Kyren move up ahead of Devontae? I don't know about that. I think the Rams are going to be the 6-7, the 1-2, turn end of the draft kind of darlings. So that's kind of the only way really that I see it happening where it gets more frequent and more common, where it's Josh Allen with James Cook. Though that's the only scenario that realistically makes a ton of sense. You can also do like Barkley with Kyren, like I just did in the previous draft, right? So you could see that maybe. There are some other options. There's the Drake May with Henderson, which I could see moving up to the 1-2 turn as well. So I guess it's you could be onto something there, Jamie. You could be onto something. It's hard to say, but again, there's just a lot of spite drafters out there. There's a lot of spite drafters that'll be like, oh, I'm just going to take James Cook, because realistically, it's a fine strategy to take James Cook anywhere because he's then your just advanced piece, right? For the first round, second round, all the way potentially to the Super Bowl. And you can tack on one other Buffalo Bill at the end of the draft. And then you have that AFC bring back, right? So, yeah, you could be on something. We'll see. We'll see. I think the Rams is still more common for sure. No question. No question. No question. Still way more common. That can't change that as much. Like that's super common right now. And the Josh Allen Cook combo is extremely uncommon. So I don't think it can just flip that much. I really don't. I really, really don't think it could flip completely like that. I would be very surprised personally. Let's do yuck. Don't really love it. Let's do QJ as a potential advance piece here. And someone that will play in the wild card round. Let's do QJ, and then let's finish it up with, I should be done at running back here. And then we'll finish it up with Stroud. So our wild card round looks like Stroud, Marks, Stevenson, Collins, QJ. So we already have a lineup, which is nice. And we still have another kind of free pick, which is going to be a wide receiver tight end. And we'll kind of see who it is. I mean, it should be, it's 2 of 6, right? Yeah, 2 of 6. Okay. So I know who this is going to be. A little bit low owned. Low owned player is the way I'm going to go about this. And another option for advancing. So if the Niners don't get the number 1 seed, then this team has an exceptional chance at advancing at a 2 of 6, advance rate. If they do get the number 1 seed, it has a less chance to advance, but more of a chance to be a bit of a super team if it can get through with the Houston side. So that's kind of how I want to be drafting these 2 of 6 mittens right now, is with that in mind. So your rankings should shift. They should change a little bit. If it's a 1 of 6 advance rate or a 2 of 6 advance rate, your ranking should absolutely change a little bit, especially right now. And well, it's unknown. And then once we know everything after this weekend, then you can kind of hammer in, settle your rankings 100% kind of a thing. Especially if the Niners play Tampa Bay. Fantasy Goldmine, yeah, that would be pretty decent. Mind you, the Bucks have not been putting up a lot of points lately, so maybe it's not quite as Goldmine on the other side. I'm going to take Schultz here. I think he's just super, super low owned. and it'd be fun to sneak him through. So let's take a look at this draft board. I think everyone in here is pretty good drafter as well. I don't think there's anything to scrutinize really, but let's take a peek. Puka, Henderson. Yeah, that's fine. Jags. If it were me, I probably wouldn't have went Williams, but I mean it helps with the Henderson because now you have that. Obviously, you have that option as well as the Bears versus either the Patriots or the Jags, right? I don't mind this build by Losimo at all. Actually, that's pretty reasonable. Buffalo. Don't hate that. Brings in Ray Davis instead of Ty Johnson, which I kind of like, and I need to mix in a little bit more myself. One way I do like to do the Josh Allen build, especially if you can get Josh Allen and Barkley. I mean, Josh Allen, Kyron is very similar, is go Josh Allen, Barkley, Kyron, whatever, Jacobs, maybe Kenny Walker, Corum, Swift potentially, Charbonnet, right? And then you don't even bring in a Buffalo running back. You just bring in Buffalo pass catchers. So you get Shakir, you get Kincaid, maybe take one or two more, a Shavers or a Cook or something, or Knox, whoever you want, whoever you kind of pick your poison. And then you just say the Bills make the playoff or make the Super Bowl, obviously. And then one of the Eagles, Rams, Packers, Rams, Seahawks, right? Bears, whoever, one of them make the final, make the Super Bowl with the Buffalo side, and then that's my Super Bowl matchup, right? That's another way to play that. Yeah, it looks like everybody was on their P's and Q's in this one, which is good. It's fine. It's good to see, but I also like the chaos a little bit, if I'm being honest, and it definitely throws some different, options out there and some different type of builds, some recovery type of builds that you have to do. If I don't get to do one on stream, I'll show an option or something I did where you're recovering from getting sniped. Let's do a 1 of 6 now. So let's finish off. We'll do one more draft and then we'll get out of here. Well, let's do a gauntlet, right? Let's jump in. Wait on one. If you're in the chat, hurry up. If not, we're going to fill this sucker quick. So, strategy changes. I think that Josh Allen moves up ahead of probably McCaffrey in this. The grown Simba in here, good drafter. Lyle Kittenhouse, that's a funny name, I think. But we got a badgeless here. Let's see if there's some chaos in this one. So I'm in the 4 spot again. 1 of 6 advance. So you got to, it's, if you can get a super team through, man, you're going to be in good shape. If you can get even 4 off of a first round bye type team through the wild card round, you're going to be in a reasonable spot, a very reasonable spot to get through the conference championship or the divisional round, right? And then moving on from there. So let's see how this goes. It should change strategy a little bit as far as the wildcard round is concerned. Just going to take it down. Cool. Appreciate you guys popping in. If you don't mind, hit the like button if you're here and you haven't yet. Hit that like button. We're going to be back on Friday night. So we're going to try to get a bunch of these best ball streams in while we're back for a little bit. So on Friday night, I'm going to be streaming again, doing some drafts. Again, we'll have the same amount of information as we will, maybe a little more. Maybe we'll get some word on some guys sitting or something like that, but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge. So Josh Allen goes. I could take a Cook here, but for me, actually, let's take Cook. I'm going to do it because I don't have very much. I'm going to do a bit of a different strategy here. I'm going to do a bit of a different strategy on this one. So let's take James Cook. So here's another strategy that I like to do. It's going to be a touch yucky, but like if it hits, if it goes the way that I hope it could, then we might win the whole tournament and it'll be very low owned. So, at your own peril, and maybe I shouldn't be showing this to everybody, but I don't really care. Like chances of it actually winning is pretty low. And if you want to take that shot with me as well. Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about is don't be afraid to literally draft the exact same team in multiple rooms. No two draft rooms are going to be the same, especially after the wild card round, right? So if I guarantee you, I have almost the exact maybe literally the exact same teams, or with one or two differences, where it's completely fine. If you ask me, I think that's completely fine. So then it's either Henderson or ETN. Let's go Henderson, actually. Let's go James Cook and Henderson. Both should probably play in the wild card round. Both are very good options. Let's do that. Cook and Henderson. Seems a little yucky. I get it. But it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Actually, it's going to be gross, and there's probably some people on, here that won't like it, but c'est la vie, man. It's how it's going to go. It's different. It's definitely just a different strategy that I think if it hits, it's going to be very low owned, and it could absolutely smash the entire tournament and win the gauntlet. So I'm not going to do very many like this, but I'm going to do a few, mix them in, and they have a good chance at advancing regardless. So you'll see when we get there. It's pretty unlikely that someone's going to not allow me to do this as far as like trying to snipe me or whatever, because I'm pulling guys up the board left, right, and center. So let me know what you guys think about the strategy. I think it's fun. I'm not going to do a crazy amount of them, but I'm definitely going to mix in a few of these types of builds. So, and then maybe we'll look at the draft board and break it down a little bit before we get out of here. Yeah, here's an example where it might not make a ton of sense, but we'll keep an eye on this guy. ETN goes there. That's nice. A lot of good picks here still available. Well, we're going to bring up Josh Jacobs. So 3 straight running backs. I get it. Feels gross. It's kind of nasty. I get it. I'll tell the jokes around here, Jamie. All right? I'll tell the jokes, okay? Yeah, it's definitely different. And it's kind of gross, but I'm going to mix in a few of these. Obviously, I'm doing it right now. So builds like this, these types of builds. It's not necessarily this exact way to go about it. There's a few ways, more than one way to skin a cat over here, but these types of builds I think are potentially viable, where we all agree that everything is viable. Everything is wide open this year, right? So then we're going to bring in DeAndre Swift. 4 straight running backs. We are obviously done at running back now. Do not need any more running backs. They're all playing in the wild card round. So I'm going to have excess points. So again, like worst case Ontario, this is probably going to advance or have a very good shot at advancing, right? And if it goes my way, then, there you go. The Packers and the Bears have a very good possibility to play each other in the wild card round too. So there's another wrinkle there, if you will.
Then we're going to bring in Christian Watson. I doubt this guy takes him, but you never know. He could. I wouldn't. I'd take Shakir here if I'm him. So it's pretty easy to get these and he takes Sutton. Interesting. I don't know what you're doing there, guy. We're gonna have to dissect this room. So this is a good room to do this in because I'm not gonna get sniped, most likely. So it's a good room to do this in. I might have been pulling my hair out otherwise, which we'll go through we'll go through this draft board because this might be a fun one to take a look at. It absolutely will be. I think this guy can't, yeah. This is going to be a fun one to look at. Doesn't make a ton of sense. So let's just see what happens here. Let's just see what happens here. What's Lyle Kittenhouse doing over here? Oh, yeah, this is all kinds of messy. Mind you, he's probably building out the Ravens, which is interesting. Let's do I want to go DJ Moore? Let's just pull up Caleb. It's less important to get DJ Moore than it is Caleb, obviously. Because there's lots of Chicago players that I can draft. There's lots of Bears that you can get. I'm not too concerned about. If I don't get DJ Moore, don't cry for me. Not a big deal. Swift and Williams are the two like big pieces that you really want on the Bears side. Same thing with the Packers side. Jacobs and Watson are the two pieces you really want. And then other than that, you can piece it together. Yeah, definitely obviously going Baltimore side here, which is risky because they might not even make the playoffs. I haven't done anything with Lamar. I have brought in Derrick Henry a few times and some Andrews, Zay Flowers a little bit, but not a lot. Just a sprinkle. Just a sprinkle. So I'm excited to look at this draft board. 222, that's a weird build. Does get Kincaid there, so that's nice. We're just going to bring up Jordan Love because, again, I don't really care about it's basically DJ Moore. I don't really care about DJ Moore. If I get him, cool. And he will be my pick at 45 if he's still there. And he should be. ADP says he should be. There's no reason for these guys to take him. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So we're done at quarterback now, obviously. Then we just fill it out with Bears and Packers. We only need one more Packer, two more Bears. Yeah, it's a different build. It's definitely a different way to build it, but I think it can be viable. I really, really do. Especially if the Eagles get the number 2 seed, which I think probably happens. If the Bears lose to the Lions and the Eagles beat the Commanders, which are both very viable, then that makes this even more live if both teams win. If the Packers and the Bears win, the Bills and the Patriots win, this team is looking to do some damage for sure. Let's go DJ Moore. It's more Burden, obviously, and Burden's been coming on. Let's do that. Let's have some fun here. If we're going to do it, let's do it fun. Let's do Burden. I'm actually not going to take DJ Moore. I'm just going to leave him there. And then do we go Dobbs or Jaden Reed? I don't know. It's kind of whatever. I don't think I've taken much or any Dobbs. Dobbs, Dubes, however you say his name. We see some Panthers going, which is fair. I probably won't until we know they're in for sure. And it's pretty likely. It seems like the Panthers should be the favorites to get in realistically. Let's go Jaden Reed. I think Jaden Reed is more fun. I think he's only going to get better and better sort of thing. So let's go Jaden Reed. One more Chicago Bear, and then this is the build. Jamie says Reed as well. Yeah, I think Jaden Reed's more fun. He should get more healthy and should be the better player in the playoffs, I think. And then you kind of got like your over the top and underneath options with the Green Bay offense. So I don't mind that. And then it's kind of a similar thing with the Chicago Bears, in my opinion, where you got the over the top and he shouldn't take this guy and underneath option of Colston Loveland. Yeah. So the over the top and underneath, right? And then over the top and underneath options for both offenses. And then their running backs with the quarterbacks, obviously. So I think this is a viable strategy. Will it win? Probably not. If it gets through, then I should have a really nice squad. It's fun to build something like this. There's a few teams you can do it with and a few directions you can go. Typically, the Bears and the Packers are going to be your bailout options. But I wanted to build a few and show that, strategy. So again, there's so many ways to do this. There's so many different strategies as long as your structure is sound. It doesn't matter, right? Do whatever you want, but roster construction is all that matters. So I have 2 opportunities for playoff or Super Bowls on both sides: Bears versus Bills or Patriots, Packers versus Bills or Patriots, right? It's a nice looking build, but I do want to take a look at this. Let's see what Lyle Kittenhouse did. So he definitely went the Baltimore side, which is fine. He's got the 4-piece Baltimore with the Rams bring back, double Rams, double Niners. I kind of like that. That's kind of interesting, but obviously it could be completely dead right out the gate because he's only got Lamar. If the Steelers make the playoffs, this team's dead. And then it's only 1 of 5 for advancing, which is kind of fun, kind of fine. I don't hate that he's doing it, if I'm being honest. McCaffrey. Wow. Is this team basically dead? So Badgeless Wonder over here. Rams, Broncos. And that's it. Rams, Broncos. I would like that if the Rams were the number 1 seed, but then you need another quarterback. So that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough, especially if the Niners get the number 1 seed and the Broncos get the number 1 seed and the Steelers get in. This could be 1 of 4 advancing. So interesting. Back 9 gets the Buffalo side with San Francisco and has the Rams with Kyron as a bring back. Advanced piece ETN. Okay. But I mean, that's a mistake. Like I would have went Jacobs over ETN personally. This guy should have went Kittle over Adams. Adams might not even be playing in the wild card round. That's very possible. So I would have built out the 49ers side. That just doesn't make sense for this guy to pass on that, And this guy just made the decision probably right off the hop. He just came into this draft probably saying, I'm going to draft Ravens because he could have went Stafford here. He could have easily went Stafford and ETN or something. But yeah, he probably should have went Jacobs over ETN. Personally, that's what I would have done. Similar advanced pieces, and then you get that bring back in the potential Super Bowl. So they're both playing in the wild card, similar advanced pieces. You could argue that Jacobs has a higher ceiling. So to me, it's Jacobs over ETN for sure, but that's what it is. I mean, this is the best build so far out of these two. I mean, I get what this guy's doing at the one spot. It's a huge gamble and you know what you're doing, but it is what it is. Let's see what the grown Simba did here. Brings it back with Houston. I like that. So he's got Philly, Houston with Buffalo, I believe. Does he have a 5-piece? He does. So Houston bring back, Buffalo bring back, Denver bring back, Jags bring back. I like that. Brings in Bo Nix late, which I don't mind. If he gets the number 1 seed, that's what he's drafting for. I like the grown Simba. I've drafted with him for years. He's a good drafter. I don't know who he is, but he's a good drafter. This one's solid. That's fine. A little less likely. San Francisco versus New England. That's fine. Or sorry, Seattle, versus New England is the big one here. You got the Chargers as a bring back as well. So yeah, realistically, like this could be a 1 of 4 with these 4 teams. These 2 teams could be completely dead right out the gate, which would be kind of fun. That's what kind of brings the chaos. That's kind of why you have to take some swings in these 1 of 6, right? You have to take a chance on the number 1 seeds. You have to take a chance on the teams that may not even get in. And then you can have yourself a bit of a super team. But I'm not sure I personally am not sure it makes sense because you can just do it next week. Just do that on Sunday, even once we know after the Ravens game, right? And the Bucks game, right? You'll know a hell of a lot more. So will it be harder to do? Maybe, but probably not exceptionally more difficult to do. I don't know. So there's that. The last thing I wanted to quickly point out was let's go to Twitter. Jeez. Let's go to Twitter. I want to just show a picture because I wasn't able to show it the way I wanted to. So let's just pull up the picture here. That's okay. So I was in the 2 spot. I just wanted to show this is your typical like recovery strategy, right? Where it's like, I got sniped. Okay. I need to pivot. I dared the guy to pick somebody. He's badgeless, didn't know what he's doing, screwed me over. I need to pivot. I need to recover this team and make sure my structure is sound, right? So I was in the 2 spot. McCaffrey, I go Puka, obviously. You see what happened there. I bring it back with Devontae Adams with my Puka. Okay, cool. After Stafford goes, that's fine. I don't need Stafford. This is going to be my NFC side, right? So then I bring in RJ Harvey. Clearly, I'm going to go with the Broncos side of this. Then it comes back. I bring in Cortland Sutton, obviously. And for no good reason, the guy in the 1 spot who's just building an absolute monstrosity over here takes Bo Nix, right? So fuck. Okay. I'm gonna have to change gears here and pivot. So I say, let's go with the Chargers side, was my original thoughts, right? Let's go with the Marion Hampton, bring him in. Then DeAndre Swift falls in my lap. I decide to switch again and go Chicago and then have the Chargers as my kind of bring back. So my goal is going to be Chargers Rams. And then I thought, who's a better possibility for making the Super Bowl? Is it the Bears or is it the Chargers? For me, it's the Bears. Just my opinion, at least at this time. So then I pivoted again and brought in the Bears side, brought in Quentin Johnston as another Charger. So I have the Denver side and the Chargers side as my bring back to Chicago. So there's your kind of recovery. That's how you recover with the Bears. And you could do it with the Packers as well. The Ravens, the Bucks, if you see fit. Yeah, those are some options there and ways that you can kind of recover and get your team into a better position, kind of where it should be.
Again, just structurally sound up your lineup. That's all we got for tonight. So a little bit of playoff basketball talk. Like I said, we'll be back on Friday. We're going to rip some more drafts on Friday night. And then next week, after we have all the information, we're obviously going to do a few more streams, probably a total of like 4 or 5, maybe playoff basketball streams. And then we'll be off until the big board opens, which will be end of January. I believe last year was end of January. So we'll see. I need some time to watch some film on some of these incoming rookies. So I hope they kind of take it easy on releasing that. And they need the player pool to be relatively complete anyways, because sometimes that, like Isaac Garendo wasn't even the player pool in his rookie year for the big board. So take that for what it's worth. But we'll be back on Friday night, and then we'll be back next week as well. Hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind. And like I always say on Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Hopefully tonight we're right. We bink the gauntlet and we win $500,000. Have yourselves a great night. Peace.